It is time for game week 4. The international break is almost over, and I know that many of you at this time would be thinking of wildcarding for game week 4. So I played my wildcard back in game week 2 after my usual rough start to Fantasy Premier League. Like every season, I managed 55 points in game week 1. I ended up wildcarding for game week 2, and since then, I believe that my journey has been pretty decent. But I'll leave that for you to decide in this team stream. In this episode, I'm also joined by my childhood friend. His name is Bob. He's joined us from Boston, Massachusetts. So he will be joining me in this live stream, and together we will be discussing the teams that we own, the players that we own, their performances, and the different narratives that we believe will be at play for game week 4. With that, let's get started. Hey Bob.
Hey Afreak, how are you, man?
Good. So this is our first live stream together. Well, it is my third live stream, so I haven't done this a lot myself, but thank you for joining me in this live stream because I know that this one is the first one for you.
Yeah, this is my first time, being live and discussing what I'm passionate about. We've been playing FPL for like a long time now,
Long time
so
now. No.
it's interesting to basically be a part of this journey with you, and excited
Thanks, Bob.
as well as want to see how this stream works out. So with that, over to you.
I'm glad. But firstly, let me introduce the team to you, and if at all anybody is watching us right now, because we don't have any followers, so I'm guessing our audience is nil at the moment. But for whoever's watching and for you, I will give you a brief of how I started my Fantasy Premier League journey this season. So I started with 55 points in game week 1. My team had Trippier, Castagna, Odegaard, and the likes of Bruno Fernandes. So you know that the best option for me at that time was to wildcard. So I wildcarded, and as you can see, I'll show you my team real quick over here. So you can see Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Bruno Fernandes, Isaac, Trippier, and my bench had Barco and Castagna. So I had to play my wildcard. When I did that, I ended up with these players, and that had Rico Lewis quite early. I went with Saka, Salah, Haaland, and Alexander Arnold. Like I always say, we should not be missing out on the big names right in the beginning of the season because that's the distance that we end up covering for probably the entire season once that distance has been created. So I believed in going with the big names right from the very beginning, and I built my team around these 4 big names. So it did give me the intended returns, and that was 85 points in game week 2, right after I played my wildcard. Then in game week 3, I again got 85 points. And the main reason for that is because I captained Haaland, because I believe not captaining Haaland this season would be a crime at this point. So as you can see, with Salah, Saka, Alexander Arnold, and Haaland, my prediction of having them in my team right from the very beginning has turned out to be pretty decent. With 225 points at this time, I think I'm away by say 60 points where I would want to be, but I haven't played any chips. So 225 points with the big names is what I have with 85 points for the game week. But at this time, I'm thinking of doing some transfers for game week 4. Bob, what do you think about the team at this time?
I mean, Saka, Salah, Haaland is the holy trinity in FPL, right? And it's always good to have them
Right.
early and see them scoring.
Mhm.
Love them. I don't have Saka in my team, but
Okay.
maybe I'll discuss my team later. But yes, definitely 225 is a good start,
Mhm.
and definitely after like game week 7 or 8, everyone has like that template team, like the players who perform. So for
Right.
example, in your case, you have Rico Lewis, who is now playing instead of Walker. So
Right.
it's a good early start for you. So kudos to you, and hope you continue in your
Now,
journey
now this
ahead.
is not the best start for sure. And because you mentioned about Saka not being there in your team, you being an Arsenal supporter, I'm guessing you would be going for a combination like Raya and Havertz instead of spending 10 million on Saka.
So actually, I only have the defender from Arsenal. I only have one defender because
Okay.
I was not sure post the, I think there was Euros in the summer, so I was not
Mhm.
sure Saka's fitness. And then
Mhm.
I just wanted to first see how the team goes and structure because Arteta is also a follower of Pep, so he might also, play around players. So now at least we know which team is going to start.
Yeah, I know, but I think, and this is for everyone, whoever's watching us, and for you and I, that
Hmm.
Arsenal have a difficult run of fixtures except for the three games in between. Now, I'm not saying that they cannot win against any of the big six. They definitely can. Probably Arsenal are the only team who I can expect them to beat City. So, uh, having an Arsenal heavy team at this time, perhaps I feel is not conducive to my team. I would perhaps go for a Liverpool heavy team and have a defender from Liverpool instead. So now this is for the next game weeks that are going to be coming up. I'm thinking of transferring Hutchinson, Vardy, and Vestergaard out of my team. But that brings me to a key point, and that is how we can capitalize on the five free transfers this season. Now, five free transfers is a new thing, Bob, right?
Hmm.
Because initially we used to have just two free transfers, which we could carry forward, just one. So that kind of did not allow us to play sort of a wild card, which this season the admins of the Fantasy Premier League have helped us with. And that is a mini wild card where you
Right.
can bank up to five transfers and then build your team or rebuild your team after those five transfers have banked up. Now, there's another key point that we need to see over here, and that is, and they say that you could, for instance, opt out not make any transfers in the first five game weeks, and in game week 6 you would have five free transfers to use. Coming to the point, if you then made only one free transfer in game week 6, you would carry forward five free transfers into game week 7. So that means that you could bank your transfers, then play one, like just have make one transfer, and then again you could carry forward five free transfers. So I think this is a great thing that Fantasy Premier League has done. And they also give an example for Brighton Hove Albion, who have a good run of fixtures early in the season. Now, we could go with a team that's heavy of Brighton players in the first five game weeks and then bank our transfers to do a mini overhaul and then have the team that you like after the first 5 weeks. So, what do you think of that, Bob? I'm thinking of holding off on the transfers right now because I have Hutchinson, Vestergaard, and Vardy, and I'm thinking of um, transferring at the end of game week 6 because that is when the next international break is.
So I think this is a great point of freaking. I'm happy that I'm seeing that in your team you're going to apply using those five transfers because I'm actually waiting to see how those transfers get added on because it always has been the case of only two.
Mhm.
So yes, like you said, it's going to be like a mini wild card, and
Mhm.
the narrative around Brighton and Chelsea as well. I think so. Chelsea also has a good fixtures. Makes sense, like
Yeah.
having Chelsea and Brighton heavy players for now, and then
Okay. So actually, it's game week 7, Bob. Let me correct myself. It is game week 7. So I'll be
okay.
looking at doing those transfers after game week 7 because as you can see that there's a gap between 5th of October and 19th of October, and that is when the international break is. So I'm thinking of holding off on the transfers that I have right now. The players that I own are doing fine as for what I see. According
Hmm.
to me, I mean, a player giving 3 points or 2 points is sort of a blank game week for that player for me. So Pedro Porro essentially had a blank game week. Rogers had a blank game week, as well as Welbeck. But again, Welbeck, the value has increased, and as you can see, Bob, the value of my team has jumped up to 101.1.
Wow.
So if in the first three game weeks I have had a jump of 1 million, I think it's a great start because most of the players that I have already increased in points, except for I think Alexander Arnold and Pedro Porro.
Hmm.
So the value of the team is important, Bob. What do you think? Like, are you going to be looking into increasing or getting in players whose value is going to increase? Like, for example, if you're planning on removing, say, Saka, would it be beneficial to get um, what's his name, Luis Diaz? But I think his value has already increased. But what do you think of this strategy of getting in players earlier rather than waiting for their value to increase?
So definitely, this is like since you applied your wildcard in game week two, I'm
Mhm.
sure like the players started with the base value that they had, and then
Yep.
on your point regarding the team value, I think
Mhm.
it's like a false equity to be honest. For
Okay.
example, you have players like Haaland, Saka,
Mm.
and Salah, right?
Right.
So they will be contributing more to your team value increase,
Mhm.
correct?
Yep.
So you are not going to remove them from your team unless they get injured, correct?
Yep.
So then the team value. I mean, if you want to get new players in, you're going to still
Mhm.
use those players who are having the same value or have actually lost the value. So that's why I'm saying it's a false equity. Uh, are you getting my
Mhm.
point?
I'm getting a point to the fact that if I remove Salah at this point, I'm going to be
Right.
losing on the 12.7 million. Um, but I think if I sell Salah, I don't get. I will not be able to sell him for 12.7. I can only sell him for 12.5. I think that's how it works. So it's
I
even
think
worse. It's even worse in that case.
no, actually, it depends, to be honest.
Mhm.
So when the player's value increases by point 0.2, then
Mhm.
you can
You can sell
when
him
you
for
sell him,
point one more. Right.
yeah, exactly. So you get some equity out of it, man. I mean, what's the whole point of having a team value then?
No, that's at. I think that's at a later stage though, not at this
I mean,
point because.
yes,
No. What's the value of
I,
Salah? Let me see. What's the
yeah.
value?
I mean, if you can try
No,
to
you're right,
see,
Bob. You're right. It's Salah is
yep,
12.6. Yeah, you're right.
right,
Similarly,
exactly,
Welbeck is 5.6. So yeah,
yep.
I can cash in on these ones, but then again, there's no point
Would
because if
you
these players continue to perform well, then I would have to get
exactly?
them for a point 1 million more. So
Yep.
yeah, you got a
That's
point there.
that's why I said it's like a false myth.
Hmm.
Again, this happens. I mean, this can be used
Hmm.
in the second half of the season where, like,
Hmm.
there is an African Cup of Nations and the player is gone for like a month, right? Salah, for example. So
Hmm.
then you can actually let him go and use that increase to get, use a couple of transfers to get like two equally good midfielders because I don't think there's anyone apart from
Hmm.
Salah and maybe De Bruyne who are 12 over 12.
Okay. So that kind of brings me to my next point, and that is on understanding which players to bring in and which
Mm-hmm.
players to take out. So I have done my bit of research, and although I believe that I will not be making any transfer in this game week right now in this video, but there are certain players that I'm putting in my watch list, especially for 4.5 million. There are two players that I'm looking at. One is Michael Keane from Everton, and the other
Yep.
one is Nedeljkovic from Aston Villa. So let me just quickly take you through Aston Villa's team. And so they have Cash injured, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Nedeljkovic played a game against, he started against Arsenal, as you can see over here, played 74 minutes. The team lost, but he had a decent start to life in Premier League. And when he came on against Leicester, when it was just 11 minutes to go, he came on, the team looked in better shape and they went on to win the game. So I really believe with the run of fixtures that Aston Villa have against Everton, Wolves, and Ipswich Town, I feel Nedeljkovic might get a start. And that's the reason why I'm looking at Nedeljkovic. If at all, I'll be making a transfer, which I feel I'm not going to make in the next 10 minutes. So Nedeljkovic is someone I'm looking at. He will be on the watch list for sure. Similarly, Michael Keane. So that's about the 4 million defender, Bob. Now, coming to a point, and I wanted to show this to you, Bob. I'm not sure if you've seen this. This website is called FPL Analytics, and it's very, very interesting because you can look at dashboards, and I'll take you to a dashboard that's called ICT Value Analysis. What this does is it kind of creates a graph of influence, creativity, and threat, and plots it on the total points that players have got until now. So if you can look at the legend over here, we care about defenders, forwards, and midfielders, not goalkeepers at this time. And if you can see that there are some players over here like Luis Diaz, Semenyo, you want players who are on the right hand side of the x axis. The further they are, they're better. And the further they are away from the y axis, they are better. So let's look at just these names. And that's the chunk that I'll be looking at if I have to make any transfers at this time and look at players that have better value in terms of influence, creativity, and threat. What do you think, Bob, about this graph?
I mean, this is something which I've not used to be honest. So, Freak, I
It's
like
free.
this, and yeah, I'll definitely hold you for this one. And
Yeah.
I think the ICD graph
Mhm.
definitely helps because
Mhm.
that's how the trajectory of the players go, right?
Yep.
So it'll be interesting for you making the transfers going forward. It's a good
And if
resource.
yeah, if now if anyone asks me if having Mbumo is better than having Saka in the team right now, I can show them that yes, it is having Mbumo is better than having Saka at the moment because he has almost the same number of points and Mbumo has more threat in the game. So if you're looking at making a transfer, check this website out. It's called FPL Analytics and go to ICT per cost dashboard and look at these names and it'll be easier for you to make a decision if you have to decide on any player. So I just wanted to show that to you. But in this video, we are not making any transfers, as I said. And we will be making transfers when we have 5 free transfers stacked up. And at that time, I'll be looking at removing Hutchinson, Vardy, Vestergaard, and maybe at that time, if I have to, and Man United are playing like Man United, I'll remove Masraoui as well. What do you think of this strategy, Bob?
I mean, there's one con here. I don't
Okay.
want to talk of the pros because the pros are obviously like you getting a mini wild card.
Mhm.
Con
Mhm.
is like in by the time you go to game week 7 and
Yeah.
say Hutchinson and Vardy are not performing, they
Yeah.
are going to lose value. So then basically you have
Mhm.
lost
Mhm.
your equity here, and
Mhm.
then you might have to even though you have 5 transfers, you
Right.
might have to settle with lesser value players. You know.
You have a very good point, Bob. And that's kind of the point I also wanted to mention. This is for the audience as well. And that is the reason why I got Hutchinson, because I was quite confident that this player is not going to lose on points, lose in value, because he's playing for 90 minutes. And that is why uh, I think this is a part of my overall strategy for Fantasy Premier League as well, is to have players who are low in value, but to ensure that they're playing 90 minutes, because then their value does not go down. Even if Hutchinson does not score, or may say Rogers does not score, but they are starting and playing 90 minutes, like you can see, Rogers has played every minute of Premier League. Similarly, and he has 3 easy games coming up. Similarly, Hutchinson, let me just quickly look at Hutchinson. Hutchinson has played, just missed 2 minutes in the game against City. Now, that's the reason why I have these players, because the chances of their value reducing, especially when they are playing 90 minutes, is low. What do you think, Bob?
So, that's a very good point, and actually was one of my points as well.
Mhm.
Consider the fact that starting game week 4, let's like next week,
Mhm.
we're gonna have Champions League and Europa League. So,
Right.
the top 6 teams are definitely going to
Mhm.
have some players benched or rested. So
Right.
having lesser value players of
Mhm.
those teams
Mhm.
against easy fixtures will be very imperative for getting good points as well as saving on spending money on big
Yeah.
players.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense, Bob. And so that kind of it does not wrap up everything, but because there are so many different tactics that we haven't spoken about, so many different things that would be and narrative that would be at play for this game week and game week 4. But one another point that I wanted to mention, if anybody is looking to do transfers for this game week, an important player to get is Rico Lewis. The reason why I say Rico Lewis is going to be key for Manchester City this season is because he's started every game, or maybe he's missed one game until now, and he's playing in the midfield. So, like you can see in the game against West Ham, uh, can I see? Where can I see? Okay, Manchester City. So you can see Rico Lewis is playing over here. All right. So, and that is probably in the midfield. He's also seen like he's got most touches in the final third of the opponent half. So, Rico Lewis for me is a more valuable player at this moment than Robinson at the same value of 4.5 million. So, I got Rico Lewis in because I saw that he was playing in the midfield right after game week 1. So I've enjoyed the value increase in Rico Lewis, but Robinson is a good um, option to have instead of Lewis. But at this time, if I had to choose, I would choose Rico Lewis. What do you think, Bob?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with Kyle Walker being out,
Yeah,
he's going to be
he might be
definitely
in. He might be coming in, but you never know
yeah,
with Pep's rotations. Rico Lewis might still come in, put in an assist, and
exactly.
you've got your things covered. Especially for a player from Manchester City who are likelier to have a clean sheet going forward with the run of fixtures that they have. Maybe not against Arsenal or Newcastle, maybe against Newcastle. But still, I think for a defender of 5 million value, giving 4.5, 4.7 points per match is as good as Saliba or Gabriel. That's my
For,
main point.
for sure, Africa. I mean, it's a very good resource, and definitely it's going to pay
Mhm.
you off very well for the next few games. Hopefully, uh, I hope City loses against Arsenal. But that being said, like yeah, they
I
do
hope
have
so
good
too.
fixtures.
I
They
hope
have
so too,
good
Bob.
fixtures.
So, what do you think? Like overall, let's go through your team, Bob, for once,
Sure.
and see what your team looks like and what transfers are you looking to make. So, let's go to football team stream and let's look at your team in game week 1. You got 61 points. You had Guardiola. Guardiola started with a good, solid defense, Bob.
Yep.
Okay, template team. So you basically had players from the template team. That's Eze, Gordon,
Mm-hmm.
Isaac. Martinelli is your soft corner player,
Yep.
and yeah, okay. And you captained Isaac, just like me. So yeah, you had a decent team. What did you transfer in game week 2? What transfer did you make?
I
Oh,
got rid
80
of
points.
Martinelli. I got rid of Martinelli, I believe.
No, you
Um,
had Martinelli, but you got 80
I had
points
Martinelli.
because
Yeah, I got
okay.
rid of him in the third game. Sorry. I
Mhm.
like at least first couple of games I think I was sure of having this team, but then my bench players, if you scroll down, they
Mhm.
were if you scroll down,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Fraser, Barco, and Winks. That's too bad.
yeah. So Barco actually has left the Premier League. He's gone to like I think different
Yeah,
Portuguese
I got
league.
I got Vestergaard instead of Barco, but I'm now going to be getting Nedeljkovic. So I'm thinking of doing that
Yeah.
as well. So probably, what do you think? Are you going to be playing your wild card in this game week, or are you saving up as well? Because you got 80 points in game week 2, not too bad, and 72 in the next game week. I'm guessing you captained Haaland.
Yep.
That's perfect. So your team is doing pretty decent. Are you thinking of playing a wild card at this time?
So now if you see the overall structure, right?
Hmm.
I have like
Yeah,
the
you
bench
got your
players
bench is screwed
are
up.
screwed up, and even the keeper. So I made a change of my keeper. I got in
Hmm.
Steele, but now he's not preferred
Hmm.
in Brighton.
Yeah.
So that puts me in a jeopardy. And I was thinking of making the wild card. I was waiting for the
Hmm.
international break to get done because I know players might get injured. For example,
Hmm.
Odegaard got injured, Calafiori got injured,
Hmm.
and that might lead to again. This was like the first half. There's another game coming up,
Hmm.
so I was waiting till the end of the deadline to make
Yeah.
sure I use it.
Okay.
And again, like you mentioned before, there is
Hmm.
another international break in Game Week 7. So
Yeah.
I was either going to use then or now. And again, the
Yeah.
same narrative. I don't want to lose value of my players. So
Yep.
yeah, those bench players are actually going to be a pain for me.
I'm 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 quite confident that your team is, except for Winks, maybe you can play Van de Ven in the next game as well against Arsenal. But yeah,
He got a
playing
knock.
players playing against each other, I don't think it's a good proposition for you at this time. Bob, I think you should be playing your wild card in game week 4 itself because um it's not, I mean, this is one spot where you got to be the rabbit, not the tortoise or turtle. You got to be
So
fast, act fast. If you wait for too long, the distance between you and the league leader is going to be above 60 to 80 points. And by then, the season is over.
right, but again, Afrika, on that point of having players playing against each other, that's
Mhm.
bound to happen, right? If you're going to have players, so that's
No, but you
any
can you
in
can strategize. You can strategize.
yeah.
You can look at the fixtures that are coming up. Like, so, say for example, I'm going to have a team that's just a second. In game week 5, I'm going to have a team that is Chelsea and Aston Villa heavy. Okay.
Mhm.
Similarly, I may look into getting a player from Manchester United for 5 million in Amad Diallo, because
Okay.
I really believe that at least now Eric Ten Hag should realize that Rashford should be benched, and in his spot there should be Garnacho and Amad Diallo should be playing on the right along with Xerxes in the middle.
Mhm.
If he goes for that kind of structure, I think Amad Diallo will be the next player to get in your team, considering the run of fixtures that United have, and they can certainly pull off a great game against Tottenham away, against Tottenham at home, and the next fixtures are like they can go anywhere. So having a 5 million midfielder from Manchester United could be a differential after, or maybe even in the next game week against Southampton?
So, Afrik, I have a counter argument on that.
Okay,
I go with the facts more than the narratives or intuition.
good to know.
I go with what were the top six teams last season,
Hmm.
and definitely going to assume that they are going to be at least in the top six again this season, right?
Sure.
So that being said, that's why if you can see my team now, it's
Hmm.
been I don't have any player. I think maybe just Harry Wings, just because he was 4.5.
Hmm.
Um, again, some utility players
Yeah.
who are bench players. Apart from that, my starting team has always been, if you can see, they're all from the top team. Madueke, a Chelsea player, is
Bob, your
in
team is
17th.
not doing that great right now because your team is Newcastle heavy. So if your team was, say, Liverpool heavy at this time or City heavy at this time with Rico Lewis and also
Right.
Bernardo and Haaland, then your team would be above 100 points at this time. So
So
yes, please go ahead.
I'm going to say, Afrik,
Mhm.
uh, before last game, did you imagine Liverpool scoring three goals at United? No, right? So that's the thing.
No, of course I did. I think, Bob, we spoke, and you're the one who told me that Liverpool have averaged over 3 goals against Manchester United for the last 7 or 8 games. So please
That's true.
don't tell me that I had not imagined Liverpool doing well against Manchester United. Please.
Yeah. So again, start of the season, I'm very skeptical, to be honest, of any
Mhm.
teams, because
Mhm.
it takes like every team is not like a well-oiled machine like Man City, right?
Yeah.
So they take a while. But Liverpool,
Mhm.
to be honest, this season they started with a bang. So yes,
Yeah.
my wild card usage again. That's why I have Salah, and if I use a wild card, I'll definitely be bringing in Luis Diaz. But again, I'm waiting for the
Now, Luis Diaz's
international.
value has already increased. So you had to do
Yes.
this real quick. And that is why I went live right after game week 1 to play my wild card before game week 2 because I knew that my players are going to lose value, especially Castagna. I think has gone down. Castagna and Trippier, they all have gone down by 0.2 million. So
So
playing your wild card will be a thing, Bob. I would suggest you should play it right now because having a Newcastle heavy team doesn't look that great to me.
yeah, but again, if you see a freak, the fixtures that they have, they're going to play Wolves,
Are you sure?
and then yeah, they're going to play Wolves and Fulham, and then Man City. So again, Man City obviously is a different one, but
Mhm.
post that they have Everton, Brighton, and Chelsea. So again, I've used them for now because Isak was amongst
You
the
really believe they're going to do well against anyone except for Everton, Fulham, and
so let's
maybe
start from the
Nottingham
top, right?
Forest?
So they will again. This is for the first 4 or 5 games, right? Afreak. So that's
Mhm.
the reason why I've got them. And all the players firstly are playing, so they got me points.
Yeah.
Isak, for example, he scored goals.
Mhm.
I will be, getting rid of Gordon after like a couple of games just to
Well,
see
he
as to how.
again, Bob. Now, see, this is our area of conflict. Like, why would you want to get rid of Gordon while he is perhaps the only player in form in that team right now?
I mean, Isak also is scoring, right? I don't know.
Well, if
We
Isak is
can.
scoring fewer than 2 goals every game, it, there's no point in having Isak because Gordon is a midfielder. He gets more points for scoring goals as well. Plus, his
Right.
chances of getting bonus also increase if a midfielder is scoring and winning the game for the team.
That's a very good point. For now, in the first 3 games, Isak has 16 points and Gordon has 15 points. So yes,
So yes, I mean more
with your
points per
argument,
million.
definitely, yeah, with your argument,
Mhm.
uh, they are like, I think they are of the same value, 8.5. So sorry, Isak is 8.5 and Gordon is
Gordon is 7.
7.4.
Yeah,
7.4
yeah.
now. He lost
Okay,
value.
okay,
That's why I'm saying,
okay,
right? That's why I'm getting rid of him, a freak.
okay. So
Again,
if you're getting rid of Gordon, you have Burn because you know what? I hate Newcastle's defense. they
yeah,
they are that defense
the leaky.
can get yellow cards, and yeah, they're leaky in small games. So having a defender from Newcastle is not something that I want this season specifically. I was pretty inclined on getting Hall or Livramento, considering Trippier was not playing. But then again, I feel that Eddie Howe is going to uh, juggle his players, especially with the European games coming up.
So Newcastle is that team which I feel is cyclic in nature. They
Mhm.
have like a series of 7 8 games where they score well
Mhm.
and they perform, and then they happen to lose against like smaller teams. So that's why I was again. based on the current fixtures, I was getting those team players in,
Mhm.
and on losing value, Afrika, this, it's not just like on player performing or getting points, right? Like Gordon has 15 points, but uh, if a lot of FPL managers are actually getting rid of him, then he might lose value.
Well, I
So
think from the starting 11 itself, you should be getting rid of Burn, Winks, maybe having Gordon and Isaac. But if you're getting rid of one, two, three, four, five, six players, you can't even have a mini wildcard by saving 5 transfers. You might as well play a wildcard soon.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I'll definitely consider it after, like, again, the game week, the international break.
So there's not too much distance between us. I'm sitting at 225 and you're at 209. So anything above 200 at this time, I feel, is above the 60, like the average of 60 points that we should be getting every game week, which I believe is sort of the benchmark that I follow. 60 points. If I'm not getting 60 points, whatever the average is, it's not been a good game week for me.
So,
So yes, Bob.
Freak, just to remind you and your
Mhm.
audience,
Yeah.
can you tell me, in the last decade of playing FPL, how many times have you finished above me?
I'm okay. Down
No,
under.
I know, and that's the reason. This is just for like our
So
usual banter,
that's what I tell the audience. Like I mentioned this in my first video as well as my second video, and
right?
that this live stream essentially is like a, a creation that I had in mind when I decided to bring my ideas forward when it comes to fantasy Premier League. And with my ideas, I feel that my ideas are conducive for maybe everyone, but it just doesn't work well for me because of the timing or maybe the wild card that I play later down the season and then ruin the complete team that I have. So, considering that I have not done well in the past, this time around I've just flipped the switch and I'm doing the exact opposite. So, as you
Yep,
would know, Bob, I never had
I know,
Salah, Saka,
I know,
or Alexander Arnold, the costlier types in my team. I was always a protagonist where I went for players who were more value per million, who were giving
right,
more points per million. So my team would never have these big names initially. And I still managed to be somewhere, say, 50 to 60 points away from the topmost player. So the
right.
strategies that I employed, they worked for me in the past, but it's just that those big names that I never had and the captains that I missed. So I really believe that your game week is an excellent game week if you captain the right player. And even if you have like multiple scorers in the team, but you've not captained them, your team or your game week is essentially screwed up because you didn't captain the right player. So these were certain tactics that I employed in the past, which I believe are really going to be useful for if anyone wants to watch the way I create my team this season. These are the strategies that I look at. Like, does a player play for 90 minutes or not? Do they have nice fixtures or not? Um, are they playing an attacking role and they have more shots on goal? Is their XG high or not? So all of these things, I look into them and I'm trying to act fast this time. What do you think of all of this?
So, Freak, like, to be honest, when I started the banter with you,
Mhm.
it was only because this time around I'm actually
I
intimidated.
know I got
Uh,
defensive, but I
yeah,
thought
no,
this is an opportunity for me to highlight the different areas that I put my brain into, and then
no.
nothing really works out because I don't have those big names in my team.
So again, like, my point was to maybe unsettle you, because like, over the years I've never tried to, like, boast this, but right now I'm just trying to do that so that you might make
Well,
some changes and lose, because right now you're
I'm not
above me,
making
right?
any changes for now because I am sitting on 225 points,
It's
and
great.
it's a decent start, at least a better start than I've ever had in my fantasy history. 225 points after the end of game week 3 is pretty good. But I
Pretty
do
good.
see your point. You've always performed better than me, Bob. And that is, again, the reason why I thought of getting you in. Well, a reason why I got you in was actually because Arsenal players are getting injured, and especially with a game against Spurs this game week, I'm hoping for a Spurs win.
Yeah, I mean, that's it was really sad. Firstly, Declan Rice being red carded, and then, yeah, we lost. I think Odegaard, he's going to be key. But that being said, thanks
Yeah.
to you, meaning Chelsea, we have Raheem Sterling, for whom Chelsea is paying more of his wages than Arsenal. So imagine Sterling playing in Arsenal and he's getting money from Chelsea. So basically
So
you are paying.
we're actually paying for Arsenal to screw up. That's how it is, Bob. We want the worst player in Chelsea to go to Arsenal and screw them up, and we are ready to pay for that. That's how I look
Um,
at it.
I mean, yeah, Afreak. I don't have to like go into beat around the bush
We
here.
can continue with the
Every
banter,
wait, wait,
Bob.
wait.
You
I'll tell
got
you
me
why.
into this
No, I'll
mode
tell you why.
because of my history in FPL, which has been abysmal.
Exactly. That's how I wanted to get you enticed. So Kai Havertz is
Okay,
a great story. He was
okay.
shit at Chelsea. He's done great at Arsenal.
You-
Raheem
See,
Sterling.
this is the thing. I mean, see,
Raheem
first of
Sterling.
all, I'm not calling Sterling shit. I'm not
You
calling
called
Sterling
him.
shit. It's no,
You
I
said the
said that.
shittiest player from Chelsea.
I mean, okay,
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
not a
So that's what
shit
I'm
player
saying.
as such, but he's just not valuable in the Chelsea team right now. Let me put it
Exactly.
that way.
Chelsea is shit. That's why they make players shit.
And then
That's
they
why it's
send them to
that's why
Arsenal.
it's Chelsea shit. That's why it's Chelsea
And
shite.
anyways, Bob,
Anyway, you got it.
we can go on this banter. We can keep going on this banter, but I will have you
Yeah.
again on
Okay.
FTS, which is football team stream, and this is for the viewers, which I feel would be none at this time. But if anybody has watched us, and if you have any ideas, do let us know. Put your ideas if you're getting any particular players, or you're looking at any player. If you want us to do an analysis on any player, let us know. This channel is called FT. It's called Being a Freak. So it is my channel where I go live on different topics. At least I'm planning to go live on different topics. But if you intend to watch just football related videos, it is football team stream that you can follow. But you know what, Bob? I've not even created that channel yet. But this is the plan that I have. I will be putting up these videos together, like the live. I'll be editing the live videos, making them into one video, and then put that on the FTS channel at a later point. Just giving a summary of how my team has performed over the last 5 game weeks.
And one more thing, Africa, I want to add. I'm like, I want to
Mhm.
apologize to you and your audience. Like, I was just moving around. I just wanted to let the audience know I have a 115-pound Rottweiler, and he was like, when he sees that I'm not giving him attention, he happens to like create a mess. So
Okay.
hopefully next time when I'm with you,
Yeah, Bob.
I'll keep him busy. So thanks for
For
having
sure,
me,
Bob.
Afreak.
But hang on,
It was
hang on. Before you go, I again I thank you as well, because this was my live stream, my third live stream, but I was planning this for so long. Thanks for being here. And with that, like I always do, I'm not going to leave you without it's not a new song, but I heard a song and I really feel that together we can, like, listen to this song, chill out, enjoy, and yeah, cheers to our friendship for so many years. So I want to dedicate this song to you, and with that, end this episode. So the song is called Making Moves, because now we are making moves. You better make your wildcard move. And it's a song by an artist named Sukha. So it's a Punjabi song, but check it out, and I hope you like it. Until then, I will see you on the next team stream. Bye for now. Thanks, Bob.
ਤੇਰੀ ਯਾਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੁਣੀ ਖਾਸ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਈਓ ਚਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆਏ ਗੱਲ ਤੇਰੀ ਯਾਰ ਦੀ ਓ ਯਾਰ ਹੁਣੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇ ਆ ਗਾਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਚਰਚੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁੜੇ ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੀ ਗੈਰ ਵੀ ਆ ਚਾਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇ ਆ ਡਾਲਰ ਕਮਾਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਯਾਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਆ ਫੱਟੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਿੱਲ ਰੱਖੇ ਠੋਕੇ ਬੜਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਵੇਖ ਲਿਆ ਚੋਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਕ ਕੇ ਐਂਟੀਆਂ ਦੇ
This is a very good song. I love it.
ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹਾਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੁਣੀ ਖਾਸ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਈਓ ਚਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆਏ ਗੱਲ ਤੇਰੀ ਯਾਰ ਦੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨਜ਼ਾਰੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਚੱਲ ਲਾਈਫ ਚੱਲ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਆ ਬਸ ਦਿਨ ਚਾਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੁਣੀ ਖਾਸ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਈਓ ਚਾਰੇ